So that brings us to the panel discussion on the importance of a European semiconductor ecosystem and agenda beyond IPCEI. So I have the pleasure to welcome Ola from Mobile Heights, Lars-Erik from Lund University, Patrick from Lynred, Jean-Christophe from STMicroelectronics, and yes, I think François, yes, François from Soitec, and
Hello.
Tony from Minalogic, and Tony is going to be the moderator.
Thank you. Everybody was in the list? Okay. Thank you. Maybe I have to introduce first myself also?
Yes, please.
Yeah. So I'm Tony Maindron from Minalogic. I'm a former scientist at CEA in Grenoble, and I've been working now at Minalogic as a director of micro and nanotechnology since January this year. So I'm pleased to be the moderator for this table ronde, panel session. Sorry. So the title of this panel session is the importance of the European semiconductor ecosystem and agenda beyond IPCEI. So, do we need also to give you the opportunity to introduce, for instance, Lars-Erik Wernersson, because you were not in the former presentation and so on. So please, just 30-second introduction for everyone.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
my name is Lars-Erik Wernersson, professor in nanoelectronics from Lund University since 2005. I'm doing various things. I've been coordinating one EU project, Horizon 2020, called Insight. I'm coordinating a new one called Sequence, running currently, where we also have French partners. In Grenoble, we've been there several times. So I tell my students it's a nice place. Would love to come there, yes. I run an ERC grant, and I'm currently working also on the national level CHIPS Act in Sweden. So a few different things, yeah.
Thank you.
And maybe I should also say I'm also one of the co-founders for both Acconeer and Nordams and some other companies also in the region. Yeah.
Yeah, we saw your face on the slide this morning from you. No need to introduce the other people. It's okay. I don't know if you don't mind if you don't reintroduce yourself. Okay. Thank you. So for the first point we will address. I would like to say that you know that following the COVID issue that we are still in today, unfortunately, the leaders in Europe saw that European has not a sovereignty for different technology related to semiconductor. Like for instance, we don't produce in Europe very advanced nodes, okay, like below 10 nanometers and we don't do any memory too, and so on. So my first question would be, how do Europe will persist from year to year in moving towards higher TRL? Okay, you know, everybody knows what is a TRL, technology readiness level. This is the scale from 1 to 9 of the technology maturity, okay? So how do Europe persist in moving towards higher TRL, and what is the strategy to convince the semiconductor industry to participate? So I will ask the question to François and Jean-Christophe, please.
Thank you, Tony. So if you remember maybe the slides I presented yesterday with the TRL level, technology readiness level, and the timing scale on the axis. Yes, Europe is persisting, and in particular, there was an evolution in 2014 with realization that we, industrial, had to cross a kind of valley of death to realize higher TRL after 5, meaning after the proof of concept up to the qualification of a new product, and they created what they call now, what we call now the KDT, Key Digital Technology GU, and that's for the pilot line project. That's all this ecosystem of value chain project that was really reinforced, created in 2014, and that was a great step from Europe. And 4 years after, in 2018, there was this IPCEI 1. I mean, it took 2 years to be created, like the second one. So we started thinking of this IPCEI 1 in 2016, and it was started in 2018. And that enabled to go 2 ranks beyond in the TRL level, up to TRL 9, first industrial deployment. And of course, that's a great achievement. We had 4 countries in the first IPCEI, and we have now another IPCEI coming in. We have 2 years of preparation for this one. Normally, it will start retroactively in 2022, but it will be notified in 2023. And in this one, we have 20 countries, almost all European countries. So that no need to say that it attracts the industry. So that's a really persistence. And beyond that, and I will let you, Jean-Christophe, continue on the CHIPS Act, there is a realization after the COVID, as you say, Tony, that Europe needs specific technology, and that's the CHIPS Act.
Yes, it is one of the benefits of the COVID. There is one. There is one. So for decades, Europe want to fund R&D. So funding R&D is fine. But most of the company, okay, they make R&D in Europe and they produce elsewhere. Elsewhere is not Europe. And thanks to COVID, we realize that is not a good thing. So we have to do something to push private company to do something in Europe. It's not an obvious choice for Europe, for companies. There's a pressure of cost for everybody here. Everybody wants a smartphone which is not so expensive. So I ask that for the company, and the company, the solution they have is to produce elsewhere. So the company need to be helped to bring back some kind of, not all, but a part of the production here. And it is a benefit of the COVID, we realize that, and Europe realize also that. And it becomes a CHIPS Act, part of it. So we realize, as I explained yesterday, we realize that we have no processor industry in Europe. This is true. We have also no memory. And we must also help all other technology that are needed in Europe. So all the let's say it's not 2 nanometer technology, it's something else. But we need that. And today, the shortage in automobile is not because of a lack of a processor. It is because we are lacking only, let's say, legacy technology. It is not produced. There is not enough production in Europe. So it is one of the benefits of the COVID, and it is the intention of the CHIPS Act. So of course there are many challenges because to build factory is even more expensive and more risky than doing R&D. Okay, R&D, you spend money at the end, okay, it does not work, okay, fine. When you are building a factory, the factory is there. You have people in there, you have investment. And it has to be, you have to keep running it. So there's one thing, this is one challenge of the CHIPS Act. And the other challenge of the CHIPS Act is to have customers to buy the technology that we are making in Europe. So here there are 2 things. So we have to access the global market worldwide. We cannot stand only on the market of European. It is too small, first. And also, the customer of a microelectronics has to buy from Europe. And today it's not obvious. Many actors who use the components in Europe, in France, elsewhere, they bought from outside Europe because maybe it's less expensive and so on and so on. And also here there is a kind of education and a kind of solidarity in the supply chain. If we, semiconductor manufacturer, make effort to build factory in Europe, we expect that customer will buy from us rather than from TSMC or Samsung. Here there is something to do. In the CHIPS Act, it's something that has not to be forgotten. We have to, let's say, in some way, incentive the customer to buy products from people who are investing in Europe. Otherwise, it will be useless. So this is a very important thing to think in the CHIPS Act. Okay, private people, private company can invest semiconductor fabs, which is very, very expensive. And of course, downstream in the value chain, people have to think again. Okay, we can buy components from Infineon, from ST, from Lynred, from Soitec to build our product. This is very important.
Okay. One point you mentioned, sorry, I may add a comment. You mentioned, I think this was you, Jean-Christophe, yesterday, about the strengths of Europe that provides anyway some manufacturers of tools for making semiconductors and advanced node for in Asia and memory and so on. So I think we did not have yet the chance to comment on that. So maybe one of you would like to comment on this European strengths we have with the manufacturer. Sorry, it's not in the profile of the question we have prepared together. So
if you are speaking
I
about
take the opportunity to ask the question.
Equipment manufacturer in Europe, okay. We have ASML. Okay, there is one. Only one relevant.
Yeah, but you have also Pfeiffer, for instance, for the vacuum pumping.
Yes, but regarding
like that.
the
It's
technology
the
to make the equipment for the PVD equipment, for the stepper equipment, the scanner, and so on, there is none. Except ASML, who make a part of the scanner, a full scanner. This, okay, they are the worldwide leader. Hopefully, it's a European one. Very good. But frankly speaking, there is no one else. Applied is American. You have many Japanese, many Chinese. There is nobody.
I agree.
So it is also an issue, especially when the US push for US ban. They're asking for that. Hey guys, we are using American equipment to provide Chinese. We don't know if they are okay with that. So this is an issue. But here, frankly speaking, we are decade late. I think so.
Okay.
So this is also an issue.
Okay. Thank you. Any comment for other people? So I will go on because the time is running.
Sorry.
So today, everyone is aware in Europe and worldwide of the Green Deal, and especially the European Green Deal. So this Green Deal will improve the well-being and health of citizens and future generation by providing energy-efficient building, for instance, healthy and affordable food, more public transport, clean air, green energy, less CO2, and so on. So my question will be, how will the semiconductor technology respond to societal challenge, and in particular regarding the European Green Deal objectives? Okay, and this question will be, addressed to François and Jean-Christophe again, and other if you want to comment, of course.
But after we will change. So that's the order of the questions. Okay. Yes, the societal challenge. So there is, of course, the global warming, the Green Deal, tightening of supplies. That's what I explained yesterday. Why the microelectronics is fun, because we bring or try to bring an answer to that. There are other societal challenges: aging of the societies, public health, of course, and safety, security. And I will let Jean-Christophe talk about safety, security. But to talk about the Green Deal, we talked essentially yesterday of the fact that we are considered the microelectronic industry as a solution to bring new elements, optimized heatings, etc. But we bring new connected objects every day, and this use of the objects increases also the energy consumption by the electronic devices year after year. So the rate of these the electronic devices worldwide increases. Now it's more than trucks worldwide. So I think it's really important to realize that we really need to. We have solutions. We talk about solutions at the material level, the SmartSiC. We divide by 4 the emission of CO2, but we also use these silicon carbide smart substrates in greener electric vehicles because they have longer range. They can go 10% or 20% longer in terms of kilometer. Democratizing the SiC is a good idea because replacing the SiC, we will have batteries lasting longer for the electrical vehicles. That's a solution at the material level. We demonstrate that. Of course, the FD-SOI. It has to be in all the I mean, it's really efficient at the sensor level. You can use these technologies even without battery. So that's I think we convinced all of you that this technology is key, and that ST and Global are continuing the race on this technology. And we can go further, of course, in the Green Deal. But also, this is very important that to mention that today in our companies, ST, I know, we analyze all the cycle of life of our products, and we try to green innovate. Innovation is green, with greener supply, and we analyze the cycle up to the end of the product. That's more and more done, and in particular the use of raw material, and in particular electricity, of course, energy, but water, which is extensively used.
We have a question from one of the ambitious students from Lund University. Is that okay with you?
Yeah.
Your name again?
Yeah, so this is Matthias again from Lund University. We've been talking about development and upscaling and investments on green energy. I'm a bit more interested in recruiting, and more specifically, like, do you have any thoughts on how the semiconductor industry should go about diversifying the workforce? So that's different, like gender and culture background and so on.
Of course, that's a question for Ilona. No, of course, this is in the RSE, and of course, a few years ago, that was, in terms of gender aspects, that was not equilibrated at all when we arrived in this industry 20 years ago. I would say we have 75% of men and 25% of women, essentially in the support office. Now we have plenty of engineers, women engineers, in our careers, and I mean, we are really glad to work with them. That's something that is really a point of focus for our human resources today.
Yeah, unexpected question, but maybe you would like to comment from the Sweden side,
yeah,
of course.
I mean, I can jump in here. And actually, I mean, we have to lead by example. And what you're seeing here on the stage, frankly, it's not a good display. I mean, we are all good looking and all of that, but we all have the same profile. We are all about the same age. We have the same, more or less, cultural background. We should have at least 2 or 3 women here on stage. So that I think that I take upon me as a task for the next conference to improve on that. Sorry we failed this time, but it's in the small things. It's leading by example and actually showing that the industry is changing, the world is changing, the industry is changing as well, and we have to follow that. We have to be in the forefront for that. So, yeah.
Just one comment for Matthias also. So just to let you know that we have programmed, I think, in EST or in Soitec or in Lynred, to push women to come. But it's not easy. So we have many programs in the school and so on to say, hey, young lady, come on. This is hard work because it's a way we educate the children. When you offer a doll to a young lady, okay, it's a doll. It's not a Lego. But it start here. It has to be considered. So we can do whatever we want in the company. So we push young lady. Sometimes it's too late because it's a way they are educated. So it's a pity, but it is like this. If you always dress your young girl with pink, there is a message here already. So it is the responsibility of a company, of course, of the man, because let's say we have a kind of power here, so we have to work on that because it's not very good. But also it's a global society issue.
And actually, if I may, we actually talk. I talked to two talented students here at the coffee break. You're back there. You may wave if you want to. And I'm really happy to see that it's not only male students here. And we talked about that, the impression that we give. I mean, if you go to, for instance, a job fair, we have to put forward also, you know, a diversity in what the students who they talk to for job opportunities. So Jean-Christophe, maybe it's not useful if it's only me and you there. I mean, we have to think about such things as well.
François, you would like to add a comment? Or Patrick, please. Briefly,
just to
because
mention,
it's
we
already
had
12.
many speakers. Cecile, Sarah, we are women, and you see that
We're getting there.
and they are very interested and pushy in what they present. And another thing, once a century ago, you had no doctor in medical studies, no doctor at all, only men. Only men were doctors. Now, I can tell you, my daughters are in medical studies, and 70% in France are women. So I'm quite confident that we are right.
Medical studies, but not semiconductor.
No.
Yeah, it's evolving also. It's evolving. Maybe we will reach the 50-50 in 10 years.
Yeah. So guys, we need to accelerate this.
Yes.
That's it.
Just one
Patrick,
more
last
comment.
one, because we have to.
Yeah, no, it's a real challenge. And at Lynred, a few years ago, we started a program with women in technical career going out to schools and explaining what technical job is. And and promoting this for women students. And I think it's important. You have to show by example that it's doable. Women can go into technical area.
Yes.
And so it's starting to change very slowly, but we have to continue this type of action for this to move on.
Thank you all. So the next question we will address is for Lars-Erik, Ola, and Patrick. So, how can we ensure that the technology will enable us to produce the right products for the right application?
Maybe I may jump in, yeah?
Yeah, no problem.
I think this is about a dialogue. I think this is very important, and I think this is what we do here today, these type of meetings. I think it's important to look what is happening at deep tech, what is coming out of the universities, what is popping, where is technology going. We have to understand what type of pilot lines do we have, what type of techniques or transfer techniques do we have out of the universities. What is industry doing? We are here with major industry. And then we also have to talk to the end users. I think the dialogue about this is the difference maker. And I think the cases where we will find success in the future is where we can meet all these things, where we have applications coming from the end users, new ideas coming out of innovations, and then there also needs to be the technology system or industry able to support it. I think we should look for these type of areas where it's merging and focus on those.
And I think we should learn from each other also. I mean, if we talk about Europe here, right? I mean, we need to be stronger as Europeans, and we can learn from each other. I talked to Marie Wall from the Ministry of Enterprise in Sweden yesterday, and one thing she said to me is, "I'm really annoyed," she said, "because we don't get enough PhDs out there, researchers out there to the industry. They stay too much in the university, in the academia." And Lars-Erik, you are the good example, because you have been part of, you're starting companies like others pick fruit from the trees. I mean, it's, but we need more like you, I think. And maybe that is something that, for instance, you do better in France than we do here in Sweden. So maybe we can learn from you And how do you do that? How do you get that momentum?
And maybe my experience also for working with EU projects on the European level is that it's knowledge is a trade, and I think combination of knowledge in different countries also is a strength that we can exploit in Europe. We might be good at certain things in Sweden, and by combining this in European projects with strengths in other countries, we have a win-win situation. And so therefore I think this is the beauty of the CHIPS Act. It's an opportunity for us to leverage in Europe, and Sweden will contribute in our way with our strengths to this.
So to add a few words about this, the last European project we will start in December. The next, if it's the last we got funded, we built it with having in mind we need to have the whole value chain in the project, from academics to end users with their use cases. And what we will do is provide end users prototypes that are not perfect, but are already part of the solution for their problem. And they will use it, tell us, you need to improve this, change this, so that at the end of the project, we'll have the product that answers all the use cases. So I think collaborative European projects are a great way to do this if the whole value chain is involved in the project.
Yes.
So it means that the innovation clusters have a role to play in this networking and collaboration and so on. So Mobile Height and Minalogic, of course.
I think we play a key role, and the thing with clusters is, I know maybe if we did a survey here and now, maybe 50% of the audience can define what is a cluster and what is a cluster organization, and that's fine. I mean, that's the world we live in. But the important thing to remember here is that cluster organizations, we help with accelerating productivity, with accelerating the development of society by creating connections. So I definitely, to make a plug for a cluster organization, which is what I'm doing now, that is really the key.
Thank you. Next question. For Lars-Erik and Ola. So we know that Sweden is not part of the IPCEI program, but there are, of course, other opportunities to work in European project. So what could be the alternative for Sweden to collaborate or to be part of this project in Europe? So please, if you want to comment.
I will let you in soon, but I will just say, first of all, it's not too late.
This is what we explained already in this conference, of course.
So we can still, and we, from our part, we will do our utmost to have us joining IPCEI as well. But Lars-Erik, you have been a lot in these discussions.
Yeah, of course, we also agree that we would like to join. Yeah, that's a clear statement. But I think one has to understand also some of the challenges that are around. Sweden has a long tradition of being reluctant to state funding to governments, or to companies, I should say. And also Swedish, we have a number of multinational companies. They are also somewhat reluctant to receive this type of funding for various reasons. So it's not so easy starting point. However, changes are coming, right? There is an IPCEI coming up on the battery level, which is a kind of a game changer. So maybe the situation will change and so on. What I think is one opportunity that maybe we should explore is that maybe it's easier for SMEs to join than the major companies. And if we looked at Heiner's presentation yesterday, he highlighted one of the strengths in Sweden is the innovation potential, creating companies and having SMEs and so on. That might be an alternative strategy in the IPCEI discussions. Together, maybe with the major companies as well together. And maybe there are also openings. We heard yesterday about discussions here. We are also in discussions with the government and the funding agencies related to CHIPS Act. We can bring it up and so on. So maybe things can move. But then we shouldn't also forget the other opportunities like the KDT projects, other type of funding schemes and so on. And I think from the Swedish national perspective, we would like to collaborate in various forms with Europe. I think this is clear. Everybody's agreeing on that, yeah.
My prediction is we're approaching a sea change when it comes to this. In fact, as you probably all know, Sweden has applied for NATO membership. That is one thing, and that is also. I mean, NATO is one thing, but it also means that Sweden is becoming more tightly integrated into the European family, and that trend, I think, my prediction is that will continue. And that will also trickle down to joint technology projects like the CHIPS Act, like the IPCEI.
François?
Just to add something, I mean, Sweden is already in the project. You see,
Sure.
Beyond 5 project, and I'm glad to coordinate this project and to have Ericsson leading this demonstrator 4, which is the most advanced demonstrator in the project. And but if I had answered this question 2 days ago, I would have said only that Sweden come for making application demonstrations, or like system level, etc. Now, after talking with you, talking with Lund guys, I realized that there are a lot of technology developments. We were not aware, a lot of SMEs, a lot of characterization. I mean, I already addressed a message to the director of research in Soitec, and then say, maybe we should go further than simple project coordination. Maybe we can have you come in Grenoble and discuss heavily, also involving the CLHE to create this network and to build on that.
Yeah, maybe I just comment that this is what we would like to see. If I try to be objective and look at the strengths in the region here and at Lund, I think that it's 3 areas. It's the system and circuit design and silicon, the long tradition at Lund University, together with Ericsson and the companies. It's the infrastructure being built up at Brunsberg with the Max 4 ESS and the new nanolab. And then all innovations in nanotechnology, on the material science, new devices, new type of applications in optics, electronics, sensors, and so on, based on compound semiconductors. And I think this would be lovely, and I had this on my wish list for a long time to establish a collaboration between Lund and Grenoble, because we have been collaborating over the years, and it's a good collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you. So the question number 5 was part of your response already. It was formerly Lund and Grenoble ecosystem have world-class knowledge in micro and nano technology. So how can we better connect and work together? So
sorry, I gave the answer. I jumped ahead, right? Yeah.
If anybody else want to add something?
No, just a comment. This coming here, when you come here, we realize that there is something here. Not application, but also regarding chip design, microelectronics, and so on. It's completely new for us, for me at least. So, very good. It's a very good news. That's it.
Thanks. Thanks.
The question number 6 was for Ola, Jean-Christophe, and François. And it is, how can we use our strengths in Europe in application and product design, instance for IoT, to drive the semiconductor part of the microelectronics value chain?
Yeah, I mean it's what we discussed already. I think that how do we use the strengths in the different technology hubs that we have within Europe, and as Lars-Erik, as you mentioned, we are very strong on the higher levels of the value chain, the applications here. And it comes from the heritage, of course, of radio communication systems, of mobile phone development. It's no secret, I mean, how it happened. But maybe we need to step up and collaborate more within Europe, because we have been perhaps a little bit too, maybe going to the other side of the Atlantic to find a solution. It's not the best idea. Maybe you should look in your close area instead, because for sure the expertise is there, the technology is there.
So it was mentioned by Patrick. I think it is a very new trend in our project, collaborative projects. Say we want to embed end user because they can help us to know what we have to do. From their side, they can benefit of the last version of the technology. And this is very, very, very helpful for everybody. And the Beyond 5 project is an excellent example. We have a full value chain working together in the same direction. So this is very good. And this is in IPCEI, we were talking KDT project. So let's say in France, we are pushing to have partners which are at the end of the value chain, and this is crucial. And we would like to make this kind of thing with Swedish company without KDT, just in the IPCEI. But today it's very difficult because, as you say, there is no funding. And we cannot have funding from France to Sweden. No. This guy is from ministry. We cannot do that. But today, this is a nightmare because when we identify somebody to collaborate with, he needs funding and he has not. So we cannot.
Exactly.
And it is on European Commission is pushing for that, but we have no solution. If Sweden will not fund, okay, we cannot. So except with the KDT.
On the other hand, we have many European projects that is actively promoting companies from different parts of Europe working together. One such example is in fact Silicon Euroclusters, a project that Minalogic and Mobile Heights are collaborating within, where it's a prerequisite to put two companies from two regions in Europe together for them to get funding for their R&D, for their product development.
And regarding ST, it was mentioned by Pierre-Jérôme. Regarding ST, so as I understand, we are the IDM. So we are making our own device. So we can do it ourselves. So it's a bit narrow-minded way of thinking, but it is changing. And where we are launching the MPW, because the issue is how to give access to people to the technology. So it's not easy technology. We need to have people who know how to design. So this is not easy. And then when we design, we have to have a chip at the end. On how? So it's why we want to have this strong push on the MPW in Grenoble to give access again to the last technology of ST. So it's a way also for a Swedish company to use our technology or technology from others, no problems, and to access and to have at the end a device because you need a foundry. Oh, it is a European foundry, so this is good. So this is another way.
That's great. So we have three big French companies here, and what I hear you saying, Jean-Christophe, is that you open the doors for Swedish startups to collaborate.
Yes.
Yeah.
And perhaps as we are in a university, hosted by a university, we could think about trainees. I mean, ST is doing a very nice box. Soitec will take the example. I think it would be nice to have people from Soitec or from ST or professors giving, exchanging. That will cross-fertilize. And the other reverse, for the universities of Grenoble, we could have this kind of cross-fertilization at the student level.
Exchanging student
is
a very good way to make links.
I know already in the audience one student from my former lab at CEALIT.
Yes.
If you want to. Who is now at Aconia?
No.
You are now at Aconia.
No,
the other one, sorry. Sorry, we have to wrap up, but maybe I have time for last question. Yes. Sorry, my screen is... I have to do the password. So the last one, and then there will be a place for one or two questions in the audience afterwards. Okay. So what advice? So it's for François and Ola and other, if you want. What advice would you give to a future candidate, SME candidate maybe, who hesitates to start a European-funded project initiative?
Well, first, if you have a good idea, communicate this idea around you to the core team. I mean, if you have the chance to have RTO or like CA for me, or yeah, you communicate then, and then in circle you see what this ID can bring along the value chain and communicate to the different level of the value chain. Hiding this ID is not the solution. That has to be the starting point, and then you rely on the competencies of this core team to attract the whole consortium and create a core of the project. And then it's a long story because it's 6 months work to build the project, but it's really this creative. I mean, the project building up, the project genesis is the best moment.
I must comment also. I mean, use the cluster organizations. I mean, for the companies here in this region, come to us, come to Mobile Heights, and we can talk to.
This is the good response.
Yeah, we talk to Tony, we talk to Rasmus, the rest of the Minalogic team, because they know you. They are very good friends with you. They know exactly what you can do or who to talk to. So we can create the connection like that. That's what I think we can help out with here.
So do not hesitate to come to see us. Thank you, gentlemen, and we have a bit of time for some questions in the audience, if you please. The back.
Yes, we have a question back here. Just tell us who you are.
Hi, I'm Gautam. I'm a PhD student at Lund University, and my question is to all the panel. So I was thinking that the projection is to have 25% of the worldwide manufacturing in EU by 2030, right? So, and I see that IPCEI has UK as a partner, which is not part of EU, and Horizon Funding has Israel as a partner, which is also not part of EU, but you collaborate quite a bit on that regard. So does it make sense for the EU CHIPS Act to also look outside of EU to find partners, or is it more strategic to just stay inside?
Well, the first IPCEI was built while UK was still in the Europe zone. So we couldn't kick them out right in the middle and tell them, okay, sorry guys, you're not anymore with us. And for Israel, and there are other countries, in this case, Turkey, Switzerland, they participate to programs such as KDT, but even Horizon Europe, but they bring the funding for their entities that participate to the project. And it's good as well. I mean, we shouldn't exclude them right from the beginning.
Thank you very much.
There is a comment from Lars-Erik.
I could also give a comment that there are actually funding programs for collaboration between Europe and, for instance, Japan, Korea. There are discussions with the US. So, you know, it's opening up in different ways.
Thank you. And another question from...
I just want to say that also, from my point of view, working together more in Europe does not mean that we want to limit the contacts outside Europe. That's a very important point to make, I think. We can be stronger together without shutting out the world. I mean, it's no contradiction.
Very important. Thank you, Ola. We have another question here.
Thank you. My name is Dimos. I'm a master student at LTH. And earlier you talked about incentivizing customers to choose Europe before Asia. How would you do this? Because at the moment, from what I understand, they are better in a lot of ways.
So answer is us as a provider, we cannot. So we do our job, we try to sell our stuff, but you cannot force everybody to buy an ST or Soitec or Lynred. So my point of view is that Europe has to do something. There is some program in China, in US, saying that if you want to sell your stuff on a territory, you have to build on territory and buy from provider on the territory. So it can only be done with legislation. It is the only solution. So I know that there are people who are very reluctant to do that because it's not so liberal economy, but it is the way. Otherwise, many private companies will continue to go always to buy the cheapest. And cheapest is not Europe.
Yeah, the last question, please, because
I have a question. Here's Magnus again. in Europe, there are only a few companies like ST, for example, that have advanced semiconductor processing capability. So if you... Huh?
We are free. ST?
Infineon,
Infineon.
right? NXP, right?
NXP does not produce anything.
Okay.
Almost nothing. So they subcontract to TSMC or so on.
But anyway, if you are a student here at Lund University or others, or a startup company, and you need to tape out, would ST consider to be a tape-out fab for European companies? If you're going to follow the strategy of more European semiconductor manufacturing, at least you have one of the more advanced processes here in Europe.
It is what I explained and what Per Jérôme explained. So we will offer a new service for MPW, multi-project wafer, in order that labs on small company design, so they will access to the PDK, and they are able to design or subcontract to a design house if they don't know how to design. And then we offer the service to produce in a small quantity, or prototyping, and maybe small series after that, to produce this technology. So for us, it is quite new, because we are not a foundry. ST is not a foundry. So we are not as global. Just I know that Global Foundry offer these services, but this is their job. This is their job. This is not our job. But we have to make an effort. And the mindset in ST is changing about that. That's why we are restarting this service with all the techno that Per Jérôme shows, 28 FDSOI, BCMOS 9, BCMOS 55, and so on and so on. And there is a strong push to do that. And frankly speaking also, we receive money from French government to make new fabs. And this is not for free. We have to, in a way, to have externalities, positive externalities to all the community, not only in France, but for Europe. So, okay, we are also pushed to do it, and we want to do it.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I think we have one last question here from Anna-Karin Alm at Lund University, and then all other questions we'll have to refer to the lunch.
Thank you, Molly. My name is Anna-Karin, and I work at Nano Lund, and we are a cross-disciplinary research environment at Lund University. And so safe and sustainable is very important for us. And would you say that, the CHIPS Act means that we are setting up production in Europe at a large scale, and we're shipping a lot of components across the world. Would you say that sustainability would be a competitive advantage? End users are very concerned on sustainability and circular use of materials. So is there something we can do on a European level that would make us stand out?
Okay, so frankly speaking, end user, European end user, if they build their stuff in Europe, it is better. Today, it's not the case. Frankly speaking, this thing, nothing in Europe. Any lighting device, like button, they are not made in Europe. This is French. This is for French company, but they are making their stuff outside Europe. So this is an issue. At the end, it's coming back from Europe, but the middle production is made elsewhere. So what we can do in the CHIPS Act is at least to push this production in Europe, but once again, the mindset downstream has to change. But otherwise, a good way to be more sustainable is to subcontract everything in Asia, because there is everything in Asia.
Anyway, in
so
the end,
we don't want to do that. So we have to reverse the machine. So first, we produce here, and we expect that European user will make their device here. But
thank you.
There's a long way here. Very long way.
In the end, you will lack for the smartphone the display fab, which are not located in Europe.
Display fab is a very good example. There is no display factory in Europe. It does not exist.
Of course.
It does not exist.
My former background is OLED display and
so you know.
micro display, so I know well about that. So sorry, we have to wrap up. So thanks again, our speakers, our attendees, here. Please.